As the Second World War drew to its close in May 1945, over 100 German U-boats prowled the oceans, unaware that their nation's defeat was sealed. In the hushed aftermath, these underwater predators emerged in remote harbors throughout Europe, their crews weary and defeated, marking the end of a relentless undersea campaign. Yet what unfolded next was astonishing. Hundreds of these formidable machines seized, dissected for secrets, and methodically obliterated in a forgotten chapter of history. Welcome to World War II Chronicles, where we uncover the fate of Germany's U-boats after the guns fell silent. On the 8th of May 1945, Germany accepted unconditional surrender, and within moments, Admiral Karl Dönitz, who had risen from U-boat commander to Hitler's brief successor, broadcast a pivotal command: all U-boats must halt attacks, rise to the surface, and yield to the closest Allied forces. The brutal submarine war that had terrorized the Atlantic for 6 grueling years finally ceased. From the vast North Atlantic to the turbulent Bay of Biscay and Norway's deep fjords, more than 150 U-boats broke the waves, their fatigued sailors raising white flags under the watchful eyes of Allied planes. They steered toward safe havens like Loch Eriboll in Scotland, Lisahally in Northern Ireland, and Portland on England's southern coast, each docking a somber echo of the once feared wolf packs that had crippled Allied convoys. The handover was meticulously orchestrated, with Allied ships guiding the submarines ashore, where teams from the Royal Navy and United States Navy boarded to confiscate code books, navigation maps, and armaments. Technicians documented the weathered, combat-damaged hulls, many clinging to functionality after endless submerged patrols. At Loch Eriboll alone, almost 40 U-boats clustered in a stark display of capitulation. The operation demanded enormous effort, hauling and mooring vessels from war-torn Europe, though some vanished en route, deliberately flooded, or succumbed to breakdowns. As weeks passed, Allied commanders grappled with a critical dilemma: how to handle the globe's most sophisticated submarine armada. The United States and Britain prized the groundbreaking Type XXI and Type XXIII models for their intelligence potential, even as the Soviet Union, eyeing the budding Cold War, claimed its portion of the spoils. Meanwhile, the imprisoned German submariners faced prolonged detention, some grilled for insights into cutting-edge engines or torpedoes, especially those versed in innovative designs, while others waited in uncertainty within camps before repatriation to a shattered, partitioned homeland by late 1945. By the close of that year, ports from Trondheim to Portsmouth overflowed with seized submarines, setting the stage for Operation Deadlight, a secretive effort to consign most to oblivion. In the fall of 1945, the Allies amassed over 100 yielded U-boats in British waters, their upkeep burdensome and long-term storage unfeasible. Thus, the Royal Navy launched Operation Deadlight, towing the captives far into the Atlantic for intentional sinking between November 1945 and February 1946, effectively wiping out the remnants of the Kriegsmarine's underwater force. The undertaking was formidable, with 156 U-boats surrendered overall, 116 slated for annihilation across 3 disposal sites labeled XXIII and ZZ, positioned about 100 to 120 nautical miles northwest of Ireland, where they would be dispatched via cannon fire, detonations, or flooded valves. The initial stage kicked off in November 1945, as Royal Navy vessels pulled clusters from Scottish and Irish docks, but the submarine's dilapidated state posed grave risks, many neglected during extended missions, scarred by bombings, or tampered with. Leaky tanks, frozen motors, and corroded frames made towing through fierce winter storms perilous. Consequently, over a third failed to reach the zones, 56 plunging prematurely due to tempests or collapses, duly noted by the Navy yet left unrestored, as eradication was the goal. Upon arrival, warships unleashed rockets or shells to hasten submersion. Among the casualties was U-2336, the final U-boat to claim Allied vessels in battle, which capitulated at Lisahally in June 1945 before being doomed off Ireland in January 1946. Similarly, U-295 perished on the 17th of December 1945 following its haul from Loch Eriboll. But not every U-boat faced the depths. The elite Type XXI and Type XXIII specimens were preserved for scrutiny, boasting sleek forms and superior submerged stamina that heralded naval evolution. British and American specialists pored over them, adapting breakthroughs for emerging fleets. U-2511, the sole fully functional Type XXI at war's end, met its demise last on the 7th of February 1946, sealing Operation Deadlight's curtain. For years, these submerged relics faded into obscurity until maritime explorer McCartney's dives from 2001 to 2003 unveiled many via sonar and underwater imagery, pinpointing at least 14 preserved wrecks in the icy ocean floor's embrace. The discoveries exposed the rushed executions, vessels upright with armaments intact, now veiled in marine growth and echoes of the past. Operation Deadlight achieved its aim, purging Hitler's submarine menace from the surface world, but it birthed an accidental monument, a sprawling subaqueous cemetery across the North Atlantic, a muted homage to the close of Germany's undersea onslaught. Though the bulk of U-boats vanished beneath the waves, a privileged minority endured, viewed by victors not as mere trophies, but as blueprints reshaping naval combat. From 1945 to 1948, scores of these prizes were held, refurbished, or divided among the powers, fueling experiments amid Cold War tensions. The Tripartite Naval Commission, established in August 1945, divvied the haul among the United States, United Kingdom, and Soviet Union, granting each 10 for analysis, favoring the Vanguard Type XXI and Type XXIII with their hydrodynamic prowess, enhanced power reserves, and breathing tubes enabling prolonged dives. In Britain, the Royal Navy tested several, like U-3017, rechristened HMS N-41, which endured submerged evaluations until scrapped in 1949. Others, including U-190, yielded off Newfoundland and adopted by Canada for anti-submarine drills. The Navy also employed them to hone explosive strategies against authentic German builds. The United States mirrored this zeal, dissecting captives at bases in Portsmouth and New London, where submariners analyzed quiet propulsion, optics, and stealth, elements that molded early post-war American designs. Notably, U-234, a freight hauler nabbed on the 14th of May 1945, bound for Japan with covert cargo like uranium oxide and aviation parts, was probed before test sunk in 1947. Elsewhere in Europe, the Soviets gained Type XXI vessels, mirroring them in Whiskey-class subs, meticulously dismantling to copy resilient structures and air intakes, propelling their navy forward alarmingly for Western observers. Lesser allies reaped benefits too, France reviving its fleet with a few, such as U-123, which sailed anew before retirement. Norway and Denmark harnessed the tech for patrols and construction. However, these allocations weren't solely academic. They mirrored shifting alliances, as shared innovations bred rivalry with Soviet expansions. By decade's end, most retained U-boats were expended and demolished, yet their legacy persisted. Type 21's efficiencies birthing standards for 50s-era subs, ironically forging the atomic naval era from Nazi ingenuity. Amid the widespread demise, a scattering of U-boats evaded erasure, transforming into emblems of memory across continents. Foremost is U-995, which gave up at Trondheim in May 1945. Briefly Norwegian before repatriated to Germany in 1965, now anchored at Laboe near Kiel as a museum vessel by the Naval Memorial, where explorers navigate its cramped confines, sensing the 45-man crew's confined existence. In France, U-123, dubbed Blazon, patrolled peacetime seas and now resides in Lorient, a former U-boat stronghold. Others rest uniquely, like U-534, salvaged from the Kattegat in 1993 and exhibited in Birkenhead, England, sliced open to expose its tight innards. In America, U-505, seized whole in June 1944, transitioned from Intel asset to Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry showcase, the inaugural foreign warcraft on United States ground, faithfully rebuilt. Yet the masses eluded such honors, Deadlight's casualties carpeting the Irish seabed in history's grandest submerged tomb, long overlooked save for naval logs. Renewed intrigue draws crowds to sites in Hamburg, Kiel, and Laboe, where scholars delve into strategies and sacrifices. To survivors and historians, these hulks transcend artifacts, embodying the toll of submerged strife, with over 30,000 German sailors and innumerable Allied mariners lost forever. The enduring vessels and hidden wrecks form dual tributes, one in air, one in depths, narrating the U-boat saga's close, a steel dominion now eternally hushed between lore and the ocean's grasp. Thanks for joining us. If this captivated you, check out our episode on Germany's post-war weapons and tanks. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more from World War II Chronicles.